Hello, folks. I know it has been a while since we last communicated with all of you, and the entire onus is on the OC because we are the ones who have been letting all the participants down. However, there had been some unavoidable situations that everyone on the panel was going through, and we couldn't just pull through. We are extremely apologetic about it, and we just want to thank everyone for holding your patience and still being around for the tournament. Like we had promised earlier, we will be doing a tutorial stream for all the changes that have gone into the tactical side of the game based on what it was in FC24 and what it is now in FC25. So let's just get into that and then we'll be revealing a few other things as we get along. But to get started with, the first thing that we want to get into is the change in the tactical aspect of the game. And heading into it, let me just get into it. And here you can see, this is Bristol City. This is a team that no one has drafted from the EFL Championship. So I'm going to be using this as an example. Here's everything that you can expect tactically in FC25. The first things first, you get a squad, you get your 7 substitutes and your reserves that you get to choose for every match day. Apart from that, there's tactics. We'll be getting into this in a while, but before that, we are going to move on to assignments. So instead of player roles from the previous versions of the game, this time you get assignments where you do have a few extra options than you used to. You get to choose your captain, your free kick takers, your long free kick taker, penalty taker, corner takers. But apart from that, you get 3 extra options. These 3 extra options include the target player for corner kicks, the main threat at the near post for your corner kick, and the main threat at the back post for your corner kicks. So these are 3 new instruction options that you have in FC25. So make sure to make the most of those when you send in your tactics for your matches. And next, moving on to the tactics section. So basically what we are going to be doing is we'll be using the tactical preset custom for all our matches since you are going to be using custom tactics as you are the managers of your teams and FC25 isn't. Then you have your option to choose a formation. One of the biggest changes coming into the game is that you no longer can create your custom formations. So, which basically means you have to choose from one of the preset formations that the game has to offer. And I'm gonna go slow, but please take a look at the formations that you have, like the ones that you can choose from. These are all the options that you have that you can choose from. You cannot make any changes to it. Like back in the previous iteration of the tournament, there were instances where you could select 3-5-2 and have one of the midfielders playing as a CM while the other one plays as a CDM. But in FC25, you cannot do that. That option is no longer available. However, what is available is this. Heading back. However, before getting into that, there's also build up style, which you get to select. There are 3 options, there's balanced, there's counter, and there's short passing. So you can choose from any 3 of these options. Next up is defensive approach. Again, you have a few presets. First one being deep, second one being balanced, third one being high, and fourth one being aggressive. However, you do have the option to manually adjust your line from all the way down at 0 to all the way up at 100. So you can select whatever point you want, and that will be how your defensive approach will be. So that is another something which you can or cannot adjust depending on your choice. Moving further ahead and to one of the main aspects of the tactical decisions that you can make for your team is player rules. Now, player rules is something for which you will have to consult with third party websites as every player has a very different aspect of how they perform in the game. For example, if this guy as a striker, he has four possible roles. However, this plus sign at poacher and advanced forward suggests that this player is extremely familiar with these roles and is more likely to perform better when using these roles instead of the other two. So, this is something that you, as the manager, have to research based on third party websites such as fut.gg or Footbin. It's easily accessible there. I'll get to it in a second. But this is something that the manager has to do. The manager has to go through and make sure that they are putting in their best players according to their best roles so that they can make the most out of it. Similarly, for example, if I go here, again, this guy does not have any of those familiarities as such. This guy, does he? Nope. So this is something that you have to be wary of. Like for example, this player, he does have a box to box selected right now, but he performs better as a half finger. And even then, as a half finger, if I set him as a half finger, there are two separate options for him to play. He can either be an attacking half finger or he can be a balanced half finger, and that will determine how he's performing on the pitch. So this is something that is going to be very, very important for every player. And there are two various options for this. Like the first one that we are seeing here on your screen, this is the without ball player roles. If we move further ahead, there's another option where you get to select how your player role is going to be with the ball when your team is in possession. So again, you can have, like for example, this player has two different options available for him. You can set him as an advanced forward when your team has the ball, or you can also set him as a poacher when your team does not have the ball so that he can be staying up and looking for that extra ball to come towards him so that he can finish maybe even from an offside position unless VAR flags it. So these are things that the manager will have to account for. As for how you're going to get acquainted with the roles, that is something which I cannot help you with. However, there is a website that can actually help you with it, and that website is right here on your screen, footbin.com/roles. What this website does is it brings up every position and all the possible options that you have when it comes to player roles. For example, if you want your goalkeeper to be playing as a traditional goalkeeper, you have two options. One is defend, one is balanced. If you want your goalkeeper to be playing as a sweeper keeper, again you have two options, balanced and build up. Now, if you want to know what any of these roles have to offer, all you have to do is click on that link, go here, and read what this player is going to do. What does this specific role, along with the subset role, has to offer? So, these are things which you will have to study here. Apart from that, you can also use fut.gg/roles because from here you can get the specific chart and you can select any specific role and you'll get to see everything that it has to offer for every role. So these are the things that the managers will have to go through, they will have to study and research when they are setting their tactics. The onus for this is entirely going to be on the managers. If you have any queries or any doubts about it, please feel free to reach out. I am always available via direct messages on WhatsApp, so do not hesitate if you're facing any confusion or any kind of a dilemma when setting your tactics. Now, moving further ahead, that was the basic of the tactical changes that FC25 has to offer. However, we as the OC, we do have a few further announcements to make at this point. The first one of which is that the friendly schedule is set. We are going to reveal it to you just about now in a second. Yeah, so this is the schedule for all the friendlies that were confirmed by managers, and this is basically when and how we are going to be proceeding. So please make sure to take a note of this. This is the main spreadsheet that is available for all the group stage tallies and the fixtures, knockouts, all of that. The link will be shared in the group shortly, and you will find you'll find everything that you need to know on this sheet. Moving further ahead, now that we have revealed the friendly schedule that we will be following, which incidentally starts from 8th, which is the Saturday. So, yes, we do not have a lot of time to dilly dally anymore. The OC has already done their fair share of it. The question remains how every team is going to be submitting their tactics for their matches. For teams that are coming into this tournament for the first time, you might not be acquainted with it, but for teams that have participated in the previous iterations, the process is going to be very similar. We are going to be providing you with an email ID where you will be sending in two basic things. The first one, I'm showing you a legacy version of a team that is no longer participating in this tournament. The first one is an image like this depicting the formation of your team as well as all the substitutions that your team should be having, the players that should be in the substitution list and not in reserves. 7 substitutes, 11 first team members. The list needs to be accurate. That is entirely on the managers. If you are sending in a submission, a tactical submission without enough members on the substitute bench, then players will be randomized and you cannot come at the OC once the matches have begun. So please make sure whenever you're sending in your lineups or whatever, please do it in a manner which is complete. 11 starting lineup players and 7 substitutes. Next, the other file that we need from you guys is you have to state your formation. You can state this if you want. You can choose to omit it if you are sending in a separate file consisting of your starting 11 and substitute players. Next, obviously, tactics. The balanced part here no longer matters because it's always going to be custom. Then you have to select everything that I showed you folks, which is going to be formation, build up style, and defensive approach. These are the three things that you have to be very sure of. Once that is done, we are not going into player instructions but rather player roles. You'll have to mention which player you want on which role, because if you do not mention, then it will just stay as whatever EAFC allots them by default. So please make sure to mention all the player roles that you want to. And again, footbin.com and fut.gg, these are the two websites where you have to go for all the information that you need for your players' roles and playstyles. So make sure to go through all of that and send in a full list of all the player roles that you want. Next, player roles. They are no longer what they used to be. Instead, this will feature player assignments, the page that I showed you at the beginning of it all. It's going to have your captain, it's going to have your free kick takers, it's going to have your penalty takers, corner takers, and also those three options about your corner set pieces: the target player, the threat at near post, and the threat at the back post. So these are the things that you will have to type in and send over to the email ID given down below in the description. So please make sure that you follow these, and as soon as we are done with it, we'll get started. For example, we have SKS versus DEA and XIG versus WTF on 8th, which is Saturday. So the deadline for this the deadline for the teams to submit their tactics for these friendlies will be at 1 p.m. IST on the 8th itself. So please make sure you send in your tactical submissions by the deadlines mentioned in the WhatsApp group for the managers. And well, that's all I have to say for now. I'll see you guys when the tournament kicks off. With that, adios, folks. It's been a while, but let's get back into it.